So hello everyone, if you're actually out there watching this, and welcome to the 2017 BMSC coverage that happens to be at round 4 already. Funny story, I didn't actually think that I could stream off the Wi-Fi here, and I needed a secure network which has expired, which I wasn't streaming with, so the first 3 rounds have all been recorded by hand. And hopefully done later. But, yeah, it's been one hell of a morning. I've been up since about 4:30 for some unbeknown reason. My webcam is broken. So, fun times. And, you know, all of that stuff. So, we're not actually about to commence. I mean, everyone seems to be ambling outside. So, I mean, hopefully they're going to come in eventually. But, while we wait, if I hide this, we can see that Robert Richland is leading the warm-up currently with 3 wins and a +292 spread. Moira Conway, who I just annotated, is second with 3 wins +228. Screw the planes around here, there's so many planes. Well, and yeah, okay, while I just get told that you can't be annotated, you know, I was all ready for a live stream and now nobody wants to be annotated, so yay for people. This really sucks. I should do, yeah, I should have a commentator. So, yeah, this is what happens when I try and get organised. So now I have to change all my setup around because people... Hi Quinn, you are live on my Twitch channel. Please do not swear and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so if anybody was actually out there actually listening to my stream, the people that were going to be annotated didn't want to be annotated, and they've had like half an hour to decide that they didn't want to be annotated.
Oh God.
And it's like nobody reads anything anymore. But yeah, I guess that's life, maybe.
Yeah. Y'all are so nice in the UK. I think in the US, if you refuse to get annotated, then they forfeit your game or something like that.
Oh yeah, I wish we could make people forfeit games here for not wanting to be annotated, but there we go. People value their privacy more in this country.
Yeah, and they don't value growing the game as much, I guess, but...
Yeah, that you could be argued that that's the case. But, my title page is all wrong, so I'm not going to switch over there. But our live game will be David Shenkin versus Peter Ashurst.
Alright.
And hopefully they're ready to start, so I'm going to turn off my mic and I will leave you to get on with it once. I'll jump over to Quackle. I'll need to screen share for you. That's something I seem to have neglected to do. And,
oh yeah, I was wondering. I was meant to be following it, yeah.
I'll just share my complete screen with you. And,
alright.
Yeah. I'll see you on the other side.
Awesome. Yeah, I've actually met Peter Ashurst. He went to a tournament in Las Vegas, and in 2012. It wasn't one of my best tournaments, but we did play, and I did do well in that game. He's so he's a native UK player. So it's David to go first. Be defending against. Okay. This goes with BFIT, which seems like a pretty reasonable play. You could Bodie or something. So yeah, this route makes rallies, and Talliers from the to the triple looks like it's probably the highest scoring. Yeah, as Jessica's showing, Triella's also plays down there. Peter's played rallies quickly. Formulas, that's the, no, it's wrong. This is the, is it the one with the blank? Yeah, the formulas for double double then, yeah. And nice, I accidentally hit spacebar and then apparently canceled everything. I'm so new at this. Oh, sorry. All right, so not going to be formulas, it's going to be flavors for a bit less. Yeah, that's a little interesting, I guess. Playing that over Jibs. I guess you are leaving the Z. You can see the board. Should probably be on the Twitch channel as well or something, because I'm getting the board blocked half the time, so I can't tell what's going on. But I guess that sort of leaves if you draw an O for something like Zori, N2. So it's a very mild sort of setup for that Z. Call it like a contingent setup or something. I think Kenji has a word for it. I can't remember what it is, but a specific term for that kind of setup. Creosote goes down. Looks all right. This one, Fez would be the obvious thing to do with that Z, perhaps. Yeah, these plays are coming down pretty fast. I might have spent a little bit more time on some of these turns, but I guess when you have a bingo, I mean, in some of these cases, I might have recommended spending a little longer looking for a better bingo. So other than Fez, you could play MZ K8. I think I'd probably rather do that. It's more open. There's other options. Yeah, he's probably is going to end up being best, but I don't think it's as good as its score. When you're trailing, that you really want to kind of open new lines, and he's is more of a blocking play. It's not as much of a blocking play as Fez, but it's probably still right, but it's close. Hide is probably not correct, though, because if you're going to be playing open, you don't want to be keeping the Z. Because the point of playing open is trying to make a spot for a bingo, and the Z isn't really a great bingo tile. So hide is not strategically a great idea. This next rack is kind of junk. You could play QIN G7, but I doubt that's better than exchanging. The question about exchanging is, what do you keep? Do you keep the X with the EN, or do you keep ENM? I think I would probably keep ENX in this situation, which is probably not going to win the sim, but because of the X spot at 7G, and because you're winning, and so the odds are that is going to stay there. It's a good, cheap 35 points on a board that isn't all that amazing for other scoring opportunities. Now, the downside of that is if that gets blocked, then your options are a little bit more limited, but you should still be you should still be in decent shape. Of course, yeah, you could just drop the X, but you're keeping the Q and 2 Gs with it, and no U, and no great space for that Q. I don't agree with that. This is another tough rack. Ms at 6H is one possibility there. It's not a great leave, but it does preserve your one vowel. I'm looking for anything else that would be an option. I guess Vend and Hided at 12H is really interesting. See, that's second in the sim. I think I actually like Vend better than Miz. That Z is pretty dynamic, even without any obvious spot for it. And even though it is a blocking play, the scores are close enough at this point that there's a good chance that you can do something with the Z to close that gap. And comparing it to Ms, which your prospects after Ms for the next turn, what are you even going to do with, you know, a more open board? You're not really likely to draw a bingo into, you know, those 4 consonants with a double N and then V and all that. This one, I guess probably QIN at J9 is probably better than exchanging. This is Gigaman plus Q, which is interesting, but I don't think that there's any real good place to play that. QIN also goes down at 9C, but I don't think that's as good as playing it at J9. Playing it at J9 has some defensive benefit. It can be hooked with that S, but there's only one S and one blank remaining, whereas Hyde has many more hooks. It's got the R, it's got the D, and it's got that S as well. So you are limiting the odds of a bingo hooking down there. And you're also restricting, there's still going to be an open D, but there's no longer an open E, but there's no longer an D after you play QIN. Playing QIN at 9C blocks a B instead, as in addition to another E, which is not, the B is not as useful for 8s as the D, definitely. So they've both got defensive benefits, but I think the J9 placement is the best one. That play is very confusing. I don't particularly see what the logic was behind that one. See, I think hinged is a word. Yeah. So that could go down 07. Yeah, I don't know anything about David. I have met Peter. I have met Peter Ashurst, but I don't know anything about David at this point. So yeah, veg is a little bit worse than something like venged or something like endogen even, because you're leaving that double N, which in almost all tiles you don't want to duplicate, and N is certainly no exception there. This is don't understand why David has been keeping this Q, regardless of merits or demerits of any other play. But this is now the 3rd straight turn he's had that Q, but with no U. There's no real good spot. Honestly, dumping QI Ms9 is probably better than oh wow, that would be a very curious, nonsense, but it's a fun play. I think that actually doesn't take an S. 6 that doesn't take an S. It does take a D, yeah, but yeah, Nigel Richards taught me that word. He played it in an annotated game at some point a year or two ago, I think. It was probably the best play then. I don't know about now. Yeah. So now he's got those nice little fits through the eye, which I didn't spot on my first look, actually. Game's been going by quite rapidly. So this, all right, Yak at D10 is kind of fairly obvious here, or like gapey or robotic. Even my voice, do I need to adjust my my? You need to drink some water or something. Yeah, I think Yak is probably what I play in that rack. Oh, it's not the rack then. I got A. Okay, probably Gap then. I lost the screen share for a moment, but I got it back. Okay, so Yak actually did go down, and then came the draw. Okay. Unfortunate that this isn't Clabbers. Oh no, I was thinking it would lead and lean, but that's a T, not an L. So it doesn't matter anyway. Let's see. The scream just disconnected, or it enjoyed some disco dancing. One of those things. Yay! It's back, but I still don't know what to do with this rack. This would be one I'd probably spend a lot of time on if it was my game. Yeah, all these options are difficult to find. The thing I know is I probably wouldn't play something like that because it spends both your vowels. If I had no idea, I'd probably play something like Tinty or something M9 to at least keep a decent balance and get rid of that Y. That's not really doing anything for us at this point. Okay, so at this point, you do have the lead, you do have the blank, but you're in a position where you could be taken advantage of. QI is going to sim best, but I don't like it. I actually favor probably a bit of an aggressive exchange. Keep blank E or blank PE or something like that. The reasoning being that hide hook is still there, and possibilities to bingo from that T to that L, the T being the T and B fits and the L being the L and leaf. But basically that could close down fairly quickly, and your opponent could be working towards a bingo. Leaf actually sort of, even though so we can see the racks and it doesn't make a ton of sense to do that. But what you should be thinking after a play like that is that they're trying to open, and or at least that they're not trying to close actively. And so, yeah, I probably would have made an active effort to improve that rack. It turned out to be it ended up being a pretty good rack anyway, from what you drew though. I can't see it again, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bingo. I don't think pageanter is good. Now parentage is the 9 in that set of letters. Yeah, I suppose this is generally true. Yeah, the 8 that this immediately. Oh, they can't see. I didn't realize they couldn't see. Just as leaving me little notes in the comments box, but apparently that's not being shown on the stream. So yeah, then there's plenty of 7s on the rack, things like Panage. There's plenty of 8s, things like Neo-Pagan, but I don't think any of them that I spot immediately will play. So what I'd probably try to do is try and get rid of one or both of the G and undouble the A's. Just a quick thing, something like you could do something like ag at G1 to preserve your lead. You could play ag there, which scores more, but the problem with that, I would probably play that actually against a stronger player. This is one of those situations where you have to take into account what you think your opponent's odds are of, bingoing with an 8. If I think my opponent's eventually going to get a bingo to that T or to that L, I might want to leave them both open. If I think my opponent will struggle, if I block one, then I might block one and then block the other later. Selects Gab, which is another option, which is just opening an extra lane. It might not be the way that I would prefer to open a lane because that can be used for more than bingos. It can be used to score by getting to that double letter at C3. And the one advantage of it is it does require an A or a U, and you do have that A, which is good. So there again, there's a 9 in that set of letters that doesn't actually play through the ER, which is aeroplane this time. Was that? Check what that rack actually was. Yeah, it does have peroneal. 1A is playable. Yeah. So has an 8. It's not the easiest spot. Also didn't actually have aeroplane. Aeroplane was with 2 A's. I misread the rack at first, but yeah. Good news, peroneal is playable. Does make some 7s per Aeon peonage, but those don't go anywhere. Upnoye as well also doesn't go anywhere. Ooh, Weaponeer. That's apparently the only other bingo besides peroneal. I did not know that word. the screen share, I can see a little picture of just staring out from behind Duck. Their profile picture. Looks like she's silently judging me. Okay, so it looks like David has not found Perennial and has instead decided to open with ope, which means open, which is not a bad idea. If I didn't see Perennial, that's probably about what I would have done. Make another lane. Unfortunately, Peter has actually, Peter does not have great talls right now. And even if he would be suspicious of David's attempt to open, because he's trailing, I don't know if Peter can necessarily afford to close it, because if you close it, then how are you going to come back? So yeah, not a lot of great options here. I'd probably actually exchange over playing something like Cone, because you really don't want that W. The W is just it's a race to a bingo, and you just kind of have to hope, and that W doesn't get you anywhere. Anti-weed is playable for David here. Just typed anti-pood in there, which is obviously a synonym. Looks like anti-weed's the only bingo. Anti-weed's not spotted, so WAD is played. The attempt is to set up an S hook, because SWAD is a word. Of course, David is relying either on drawing the last S or on making the blank an S in order to actually take advantage of that. However, because of David's draw, if that's accurate, then actually has aunties and insinuates, so would actually be able to use that if that spot remains open. Again, it's kind of difficult to know what to do here. Renowner probably is, it's a thing you could do. It pretty much gives up. Now it doesn't actually quite give up, because at least leaves a couple spots open, but I might have tried to do something like loan or something and just made sure that there would be a spot available open for me. So yeah, Auntie-Sinuate is one option. Aunties is probably better, because if you play Sinuate, then bingos can still go to the L. Tenorial is another bingo. Things like that can go through the L, but I think Aunties is actually better than Tenorial, even though it's not going to be... it scores one less, as you can see, because after Tenorial, then my opponent could bingo from that T. After Aunties, there's parallel plays, but you're already up by over 100. It doesn't really matter. There's a parallel play. You just want to prevent a bingo back. It's way more important. And it looks like all these scoring tiles that you would want to take advantage of that new 1A spot are unfortunately already in the pool, so you can't really do much there. You would probably want to look at trying to fish one off, make another spot, but there's really slim pickings trying to do that. I don't even know if it's possible. And even if you did, it would just get blocked. So maybe you just do something like dump LA or something and just leave one in the bag and just complicate things a little bit. But there's, yeah. You can't, oh God. Just says you can't dump after anti-pood. They're just, you're not supposed to swear on this, but apparently toilet humor is fine. But yeah, something like LA or something like UT or... Repeat it. You told me not to swear. Now you're saying you can swear. I were joking. Okay. Sorry, I took it literally. Ooh, neuro pills with oh yeah. And I know that word too. But difficult spot because it makes that extra hook, and so yeah, just plays NU. Now the NU does at least prevent David from using the 1A spot for something like Parvo or something like that. There's still ways to score, things like PO at F14 score. PA as well scores equally. Either one would allow a play at N4 next, Revo or Riva. So if that's the intent to play next, that would be equivalent. This is Layer Eyes, but Layer Eyes doesn't play. Something like Trial. Or Sit. That's fine. Doesn't make anything. You can't really do anything extra with that V after Sail that you couldn't before. And it does, you can play out with Lyre or the LIR or whatever. Other options. There's 4 Rael at 1E. It was the backup, but probably isn't going to get blocked. Because I think playing Revo is better than playing... Well, actually, no. Yeah, playing Revo is better than trying to block something like Vol. Because EIR can go elsewhere on the board anyway with Riel. So yeah, is the play. Fire scores as much, but it's only blocking the second backup play. It doesn't, and it leaves one extra tile. It's not as good. So presumably we'll just play out with one of these. Many outplays. Okay, and David Shenkin is the victor by 120 points. Or perhaps not by 120 points, apparently. Oh no, it is. It's just a different 120 point victory than what was showing on Quackle.
Yeah, Quackle's a bit dumb like that, because Quackle does the double plus, and we do plus minus.
Okay. Yeah, double plus is what you do in the US.
I know that.
I didn't know that you do the other way in the UK. Technically, I have read that before. I just forgot. Never having actually,
Played
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But what a speedy game. I feel bad for letting you in first time on that.
Oh no, it was. I think I adapted okay.
I don't know whether my fingers adapted okay.
Yeah, that was probably the only real tricky part was just that, especially at first, sometimes when you're entering in the racks for your overlays and things like that, it would block my vision, my ability to see the board, and so
Yeah.
it made it a little bit difficult for me to do my analysis and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to show you everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as much of a big deal if it had such a speedy game.
What round is this again? I keep forgetting. Oh, I just hit a button. That's not good.
It's round one for me.
No, don't want that to come up. You could probably see all this chaos that's going on. Oh, I can't spell. Help me.
It's not that much more chaotic than the round itself. I don't care. I don't mind. I would be the same way. I mean,
yeah, you bit random, people cancelling on you, all of that stuff.
yeah. I mean, as I've said on Facebook, I don't mind paying some attention to some of the not quite as high-rated players as we kind of did here. The only thing is it makes, as opposed to if it was a game against Mr. Richland and Miss Conway, I guess, perhaps, or I don't know. I don't know how good it is. I'm getting a little bit confused by the ratings because
the big rating is the tournament rating. Yeah, I never understood that part of Tish. The big rating is the tournament rating, and the little rating is the start rating.
Okay, yeah.
Don't even ask me why that is. That's just very confusing all the time. Like,
Yeah.
So if John Chu is listening, he should change it.
Well, from what I've seen in the U.S., what they display in that spot is like a calculated what would the rating be of this person if the tournament ended then, as opposed to the rating for just that tournament, like the performance rating.
We don't
but
have one of those.
I guess the reason that because the way that y'all do ratings is different because it's like a rolling average of like the last however long. Which is different from the U.S., where the only input is the previous rating and in some cases the number of games played. So yeah, it made me think when I glanced at that Maura Conway was, actually going to be rated 186, but that doesn't appear to be the case.
No, I think if I squint slightly, her rating is 143.
Yeah,
If I squint slightly.
yeah. So
Yeah, there
it's
aren't high-rated players in this event because it's the enhanced scoreboard move. It's so exciting.
well, there are fairly. I mean, I could have made the same example by saying if it was Robert Lichland versus say Chris Vickery. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that guy's name right or anybody's name right, really.
You are.
Okay,
And
but
the
yeah,
player numbers are 2 and 1, so these two here,
yes,
Robert and Chris, are the highest rated at this event.
yeah,
Which
and they may not be Nigel Richards, but at least if they were playing each other, then I could take for granted that certain things were probably going through their heads in their consideration of their plays that I might not necessarily be able to take for granted when looking at Shenkin versus Ashurst, which you can certainly do analysis of it, but it's a little bit hard for me to understand what the thought process is, if there is any, behind certain plays. If it's just like this is the only play that I see. With something like edging, like I don't know, you've got a little bit more experience working with lower rated players than I do, and you might have some idea, but like when you're playing edging, opening that triple lane, keeping the queue, it just seems bizarre. Yeah, he did win, but and he made some strong plays as well. Creosote was an excellent play, for example, but
sorry, trying to have multiple conversation there while listening to you.
It's fine.
It can be a bit, when people don't realise that I've got a commentator in my ear and they still want me to talk to them, and I'm like, I'm trying to do something else here. But yeah.
But
So
yeah, I don't.
I basically have no idea what you said for the last minute or two.
That's okay. It wasn't really that important. I was just kind of riffing off,
fine.
like, yeah, just kind of riffing off like that. There's challenges when it comes to analyzing lower rated games because
you don't know what words they know.
Well, there's that, yes, but also you don't know what they're taking into account. The decision-making process, I mean, it's going to be a different decision-making process for even for like a 160 player, 170 player than if you're, somebody who's 180 or 190 strength. But at least it's a fairly predictable thought process. It's essentially a version of the 190 thought process with a few things cut out, but what the thought process is for 140, 130, 120, it becomes a little bit harder for me to predict what is and isn't being considered.
Yeah, in this country particularly, many players here focus on learning bonuses rather than improving strategy and tactics. So they may know sevens and they may miss sevens, but the shorter words they're not going to know, and any kind of intricate little thought process plays they probably won't end up finding either.
Right. And your strengths are kind of a little bit inverse to that.
Yeah, mine are very inverse to almost every single player in this country except for my mother. Because, for those of you that haven't played my mum, she'll strangle your Scrabble. Metaphorically.
And congratulations to Diane Vertesi too, doing very well at the Worlds.
I have no idea how she's doing. I haven't been paying too much attention, embarrassingly. But I do know she beat Chris Light. Like 505-497.
I had a very similar score the first time I played Chris. I think it was 502-486 in my favor. or something like that. I can look it up. 488.
Between my mum and myself, we've only ever had one game, like, combined over 1,000 points, and I think it finished like 506, 502 or something.
Yeah, okay, I actually played him twice in that tournament. The second scoreline was actually 502, 488. The first one was 547 to 462. So I think it's more on Chris than it is on either of us. Chris just probably tends to play a type of game that lends itself to that sort of scoreline.
My mum doesn't. So, between me and my mum, we're lucky if we score over about 470 in a tournament, in a game.
Yeah.
That's just the way we play. We play the style of Scrabble that is, the fewer points you score, the fewer points I need to win.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. But it's not terribly compact that nothing is possible.
Yeah. I kind of I will go to that style if I think that I'm not drawing well, but otherwise I tend to play a little bit less cautiously. So and I think there's some other players, Matthew O'Connor, for example, also tends to do this, where you might have a 390 to 340 game and a 600, 700 game in the same tournaments.
I had a 310 290 game in the A division a few years ago. Oh, maybe I mean like 5 years ago or something. It's a bit hard to remember. But yeah, I had a combined game score of 600. It was pretty funny. And yeah, my Eddie Rome has decided to kaput itself, or my network. So while I get that working again, please, this is where, if you're watching on YouTube, the video will cut, and I hope to see you guys for the next video. Who knows who that will be between, but yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.